Hello there, fellow collectors. It is Sneaker back with the Collection Tour 3.0, a video that is really long overdue. The last collection tour that I did was in September of 2023. So really looking forward to sharing this video with you all. If you haven't already, please hit that like button on your way into the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I'm on my way to 1,000 subs as I'm posting this video. So please, I would greatly appreciate it if you would consider subscribing. And then ring that notification bell so that you don't miss any future content coming from me. So since September, my collection has evolved quite a bit. You know, back when I first started collecting Hot Toys in 2022, my primary goal was really just to stick with Star Wars. And then basically I just started branching out little by little because I wanted to collect other stuff. Even though Star Wars will forever be the greatest to me, I wanted to get some other figures from other IPs. And I'm really glad that I did. Another really tough thing is, you know, you find that deal and then you try to resist, but
I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it.
That happens, which is basically the video that I use to describe how my collecting goes. I am really excited to showcase my collection for you all. A couple of my cases are not organized the way that I want them to currently just because I don't have the time, but nevertheless, I really just wanted to get this video out. I hope you all enjoy it. I don't want to delay this any longer, so let's take a look at my Collection Tour 3.0. To start things off here, this is the first view of my basement when you get down to the base of the stairs. So really cool. Right when I walk down here, this is the first thing that I see. Gotta love just having this much space first and foremost in the basement to see everything in my collection that I have so far. And this is what it looks like with these ceiling lights on. I plan on adding some RGB lighting likely into the ceiling, but also along the sides and the tops of the cases. So here's what it looks like with the lights off. This is typically how I have it in the basement, and it just really showcases the collection better when you don't have the ceiling lights on. But like I said, I do want to improve my lighting surrounding the cases. I think you can do some really cool stuff with exterior case lighting that really elevates the look of the display. And then here's just a different angle. I actually have a chair set up right here. Sometimes I like to, in the morning when I wake up, make my cup of coffee, I just like to come down into the basement, turn the figure lights on, kind of just hang out, relax, drink my cup of coffee, check out some figures. Just a really nice, relaxing way to start the day. And honestly, now that I just said that, it sounds crazy, but what better way to start your day than to sit in front of your collection and just admire all of this beauty. But in all seriousness, it's nice to have this corner of my basement. There are a couple things I'm going to change with my display, which I'll talk about later in the video after going through each case. One is a little sneak peek here is going to be this corner that the cases are currently split at with the riser and the Moduspace mono case, but I will talk about that later in the video. But this is just another angle looking at the cases kind of over by my desk area where I do all of my content and live streams at. And I left the lights off on the Moduspace mono because the prototype lights were a little bit too bright. Those have now been fixed, but for the purpose of this video, I left them off. So those are the various angles of my collection. Let's start breaking down each case and taking a look at these figures. Starting off here, we have the prequel shelf. One that's near and dear to my heart because The Phantom Menace was the first movie that I saw in theaters. And now it is already the 25th anniversary, which is crazy. But starting off here, we have Darth Maul with the speeder, the DX-17, which sadly, I'm moving on from this figure, but the 2.0 is coming, which makes me happy. Really excited about that one because this one is awesome. And the next one's a huge improvement, so cannot wait to get that. Then we have Qui-Gon Jinn here. I would like to see an artisan Qui-Gon, but nevertheless, this figure is a great figure. He has limited head articulation because of his hair, but I still really enjoy having this one. And then we have Revenge of the Sith Anakin Skywalker. I have the artisan Anakin on pre-order. I still don't know if I'm going to move on from this one. I might keep it and put it into a different area of the display. And then, of course, we have the GOAT, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I've always liked this head sculpt. I am going to change up the pose. I want to put his robe back on and do some type of action pose. Nevertheless, absolutely love this figure. And then the hologram table that comes with him. I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet, so it's just sitting in the back of my case. But yes, love Obi-Wan Kenobi, obviously my favorite character in all of Star Wars, as you all know. And then we have Yoda from Attack of the Clones. This is my preferred Yoda figure. I have Empire Strikes Back one as well, which you'll see. But there's just something about this Attack of the Clones one that I really love. And then, of course, we have what many consider a grail, Darkseid Anakin Skywalker. If they reissue this figure, I will not be selling this one. This one will likely stay in the collection forever, but just absolutely love this figure. And obviously one that is a community favorite. And moving on, we have Commander Cody. I've always liked this pose for executing Order 66. Cool figure. Then we got Jango Fett, one of the only figures that I have that's a clone that has his helmet off because I wanted to showcase his head sculpt. But the helmet on version looks really good, so I may switch that at some point. And then we have Count Dooku, which I know a lot of people want a 2.0 of, but this one is so good. I think the only thing it really needs is rolling eyes. There's really not much I would change otherwise on this figure. He is amazing. And then to the left of him, we have C-3PO standing next to R2-D2, both from Attack of the Clones. A great combo. For me, I had to have both in the case. Can't have one without the other in my mind. A really cool combination. I took the sand base from another figure and put it under R2-D2, and I think it makes for a nice little base there to coincide with the one for C-3PO. And then we have this Geonosis battle droid. A decent figure. I have him posed here with the binoculars. Pretty cool pose. And that is it for the prequels. And I am basically out of room with all these other prequel figures coming out, so I'm going to have to be revamping the display. Next up, we have Rogue One, one of my favorite lines within the Star Wars IP. And one, unfortunately, that never got a Cassian Andor or a Baze Malbus, but nevertheless, a lot of great figures from this line. Starting out here, we have my first Jyn Erso figure. An underrated figure in my mind. This one, and especially the Imperial Disguise one as well. And then we have Chirrut Imwe, my favorite character personally in Rogue One. Got him in this cool dynamic fighting pose. Just an amazing character. And I really, really like this figure as well. And then we have my favorite droid in all of Star Wars, K2SO. I know the Imperial, like the KX Enforcer droid came out. I still prefer the paint applications of the original K2SO, this version specifically. An awesome figure. Then we have the Rogue One Stormtrooper. I love this sleek Stormtrooper design. Kind of have him looking at this Jyn in Imperial disguise here in the background. This Jyn figure, like I said, probably my favorite of the two. I actually really like the look of this figure with the Imperial disguise armor. I think it's one of the kind of least talked about figures and one that I really am happy to have in the collection. And then next up, we have the Jedha Patrol Stormtroopers, one of my favorite sets of troopers. You can see where I'm going here. I have a lot of favorites in this case. These guys are really cool. I have this one that came only in the Jedha Patrol 2-pack with that guy in the center. The one that comes with the black pauldron you can only get in the 2-pack. And then you have this exclusive one over here with the white pauldron. Just really like the look of all three of these together. And then moving on, we have two shore troopers. We have the captain on the left and then the standard one. I do need to pick up a squad leader at some point to have the completed trio. But Rogue One has just some of the coolest trooper designs in Star Wars in my mind. Then we have the tank commander here, another cool figure that I got for a really good deal. And then we have a death trooper. This one's actually from the Mandalorian line, but he fits in well with Rogue One. And then we have Director Krennic, another underrated figure with an incredible head sculpt. I think spot on to the actor. I love this white look to the clothing. I cannot wait until Thrawn comes out. And then we have the Death Trooper Specialist. This is one of my favorite troopers that I have in the collection. I modified him and put a real leather pauldron because those pauldrons are known to flake. A very cool figure, a menacing looking trooper. And there you have it for the Rogue One case. Like I said, one of my favorite cases in the display. Next up here is one of my original trilogy cases, and there have been some changes with this one since I last posted a collection tour. But to start things off here, one of my favorite troopers, the Sand Trooper. There's just something really awesome about this one, very nostalgic to me, and I love all the weathering and the detail for this one specifically. A really awesome figure. And then moving on, we have the Jawa and the Gonk 2-pack, which I actually got this with Graham, aka the Jedi Knight's Watch, at a local shop that we went to together. That was awesome, you know, going on a hunt and finding something like this. A really cool 2-pack that's connected to a really cool memory as well. And then moving on, we have the Tusken Raider, which this is actually from the Mandalorian, but I think he looks great standing next to this Gonk droid and the Jawa. A cool addition to the shelf for sure. And then, of course, we have one of the best figures that I have, and one that I will never ever get rid of, even if they 2.0 it. And that is, of course, Obi-Wan Kenobi from A New Hope. And then next up, we have Han Solo and Chewbacca from the 2-pack. Both really good figures. Han is a little bit of an older figure. Chewbacca is actually really good if you mess with the fur and actually get the figure looking nice. And then we have Farm Boy Luke, obviously Luke Skywalker from A New Hope. And another older figure, but still one I'm happy to have in the collection. And then moving on, we have the Death Star Gunner, a figure that's pretty hard to find now. A very unique one that I'm really happy to have. Was a difficult one to hunt down. Speaking of difficulty hunting down, the next ones here are the Tarkin and Vader 2-pack. This one took me like a year of searching. I actually got a really nice deal on it. I had to put a leather suit on Vader, which actually turned out really nice. And Tarkin definitely looks incredible in person. Really like the look with him sitting in the chair. Yes, a set that I am very happy to have. Like I said, took me a while to get. And then we have these three here. Not much really needs to be said about these ones. I am super happy to have these in the collection. Starting out here with Luke Skywalker. Again, kind of another dated figure, but I like how the proportions for his armor versus Han's are different. And this Han Solo head sculpt, still one of the best, probably the best Han Solo head sculpt that we've gotten. And then moving on to Princess Leia. This is really the definitive, iconic Princess Leia. If I could only choose one, this would be the one that I would want to get. And that is it for the first original trilogy shelf. There are just so many incredible figures on this one. I'm really happy with how this one currently looks. And now moving on to the second original trilogy shelf. As you can see, this is getting a bit crowded. I am essentially out of room. I don't really want to get much more crowded than this, but nevertheless, here it is. This is definitely an underrated figure, the Snowspeeder Luke. I've always said this suit is basically like they took a real life suit and shrunk it down into 6-scale form. It is awesome. And then we have these two guys right here, the Snow Trooper 2-pack, another set that I will just never get rid of. The one from the game, Battlefront 2, and then from Empire Strikes Back. And then we have this little guy, Yoda from Empire Strikes Back. I prefer the Clone Wars Yoda, but nevertheless, I really like this one also. And then moving on, we have the Leia and Wicket 2-pack. These both look really good. I like all the accessories that they come with as well. It really captures that Endor feel. And then I had to put this with Luke Skywalker in his Endor outfit. I go back and forth on whether or not I want him posed like this or in the Return of the Jedi outfit, but I'm really just waiting for a definitive Return of the Jedi Luke. This is also an older figure. I'd rather have it look a little bit differently, and I want my Endor set to be complete, so I have him posed with them. And moving up, here is Emperor Palpatine with the throne. Another awesome set. I have him standing next to one Royal Guard. I'd love to get another one, but they are pretty pricey in the aftermarket, so maybe at some point. But two awesome figures, especially standing next to each other. And then moving on here is Darth Vader, obviously, from Empire Strikes Back. Love this base. The only thing that kind of bothers me about this figure is the orientation of the helmet and having to move the top part of it around. Nevertheless, still a great figure. And then here's the 2.0 Bespin Luke. I really like this figure as well. And I love this base that it comes with. I know some people think he's too clean, but I think he's a great figure. And then Boba Fett from Empire Strikes Back. This really is the one Boba Fett I would choose as well if I could only pick one. Probably the most iconic for me. And here is Lando Calrissian. So I had a running joke that I wasn't going to get a Lando, and I just kept prolonging it. I had a lot of fun with it, but friend of the channel and Grand Admiral of the channel, Howard Potts, actually gifted me this Lando. So I am very grateful. Thank you so much, Howard. If you're listening, really appreciate you doing that for me. I love the figure. Really happy with the pose he's in, actually. And here is the end of my original trilogy figures. And moving on, we have the Mandalorian. This is the first case. I would really like to change up the spacing in these two cases. When I get my other cases eventually, I'm going to change up how these are posed because the bikes take up a lot of space. But nevertheless, starting off here, sorry for the camera wiggle. I'm laying on the floor as I'm filming this. But here's IG-11, an awesome figure, awesome droid. Then we have Durasteel Mando, another underrated figure that I just don't feel like gets enough love. I know a lot of people love the Chrome Mando, but for me, I have to have both. And I took the Pram from the original Beskar Mando and put him onto this base here with this figure, and I think it goes great together. Then we have the Heavy Infantry Mandalorian, so the first release of this figure before he was named, Paz Vizsla, and the Death Watch Mandalorian next to him. Two cool figures. And moving up, we have the Scout Trooper. I love the Mandalorian Scout Trooper. There were some cool scenes involving them. Got him in this cool pose sitting on the bike, and the bike is really nice. It really makes me want to get the Return of the Jedi one. Here is the Incinerator Trooper from another kind of cool scene, but I need to get him reposed. I'm not really digging the pose that he's in right now. Here is the Armorer, another somewhat underrated figure. I know people weren't really high on this one, but I enjoy it. It's got really good detail. And then the Remnant Stormtrooper has some really cool weathering on it. Definitely accurate to the show. Pretty happy to have that one in the collection, as I really enjoy having troopers. And there you have it for the first case from the Mandalorian. And moving on, here is the second case, which is a mix of the Mandalorian and also the Book of Boba Fett. So for the first figure here on the left is the Stormtrooper Commander, or the Stormtrooper Squad Leader. And this is basically a weathered Rogue One trooper that has a pauldron on it. So if you're looking for one of those, I would say get this figure. An awesome trooper design, like I said when I was talking about the Rogue One shelf. Great figure, and you can find him at a good price. And then we have version 2 of the Beskar Mando. Absolutely love this figure. One of my favorites in the collection. Mando is just so near and dear to my heart. My first son was born around the time the show came out, so we have that, you know, father-son bond similar to the show. So just really important to me having this figure represented in my collection, and absolutely just love everything about it. And then we have Mando Luke, obviously from the season 2 finale. An insane moment, one of the best in Star Wars. Absolutely love this version of Luke. Another one of my favorite figures that I have in the collection. Just an awesome one that comes with that Dark Trooper as well, that's damaged on the ground. And then Ahsoka from the Mandalorian as well. The new one is coming out, but I still love this figure. I like this outfit. I plan on potentially modifying this head sculpt to that kind of combat head sculpt that comes with the new Ahsoka TV series one that's coming up, but we'll see if that's able to be done. And then we have Cobb Vanth, aka the Marshal. Let's go. I love this figure. I loved him as a character. Timothy Olyphant is an awesome actor, one of my favorite ones. So really happy to have that represented. I love this pose and I love that base. And right next to him is standing another just amazing figure, Cad Bane. I took this extra toothpick from Crosshair and gave it to him. Love this pose. Love that he comes with Toto 360 to give the animated fans some love as well. Just two awesome figures standing next to each other. Super happy to have both of them. And then moving on, we have Boba Fett with the throne, and then Fennec Shand. This is a really cool set. You can actually get Boba with the throne at a really good price nowadays. I highly recommend it, especially if you have Fennec. Fennec is an incredible figure. There is literally nothing wrong with this figure. Love this pose and this setup that I have with these two. They have great presence in the display. And then moving on over here to the left, we have the first version of the Beskar Mandalorian and the swoop bike. I took all the accessories from Chrome Mando and put them on the back of the swoop bike. A really cool set, but takes up a lot of space. I plan on moving this out of the case at some point. And there you have it for this case. So this case I would consider not as organized as I would like, but I am essentially out of room in my display. So this is what it looks like. And first here on the left, we have the 4 members of the Bad Batch, starting with this guy, the Anomaly, which is going for an insane value in the aftermarket Crosshair. An awesome figure. Highly recommend it if you can find one nowadays, actually at a decent price. And then next we have Wrecker. Again, they just nailed it with all of these likenesses on these figures and kind of transitioning from the animated into live action. The head sculpts are awesome on all these. I go back and forth between whether or not I want them to have the helmet on or helmet off. And then we have Echo, which I originally had him with his helmet on. His head sculpt is actually kind of creepy in my opinion, but nevertheless still looks pretty cool. And then obviously we have Hunter here at the end. I likely will put their helmets back on once I get Tech, and I cannot wait to get Tech. He actually has my favorite armor design of all of them. But there are the 4 Bad Batch members. Really happy to have all of them, especially at this point with what has happened with Crosshair's value. And moving on, here is the Grand Inquisitor from the Kenobi TV series, along with a Phase 2 Purge Trooper. Working on getting my clean Kenobi Vader set up so that I can have him displayed with these two and potentially Reva as well. And then here is my life-size Grogu. This was actually the very first Hot Toys item that I purchased. Again, this is something that means a lot to me because it reminds me of my firstborn son, because it came out right around the time when he was born. So just a really strong connection to that. And then here is Solo Darth Maul. I just don't have a place for him right now in the collection to put him. So like I said, this case is kind of scattered right now with what's in it. Nevertheless, he's a cool figure. And then we have the Umbra Operative ARC Trooper, a limited figure that caused a lot of controversy, a lot of interesting takes in the community regarding this one, but nevertheless, really happy to have him represented in my collection. And there you have it for that case. Next up, to round out the Star Wars collection, is this Clone Wars case. We have a bunch of 501st Troopers in here. We got this one carrying this heavy machine gun, and then I took all their extra accessories and put it around the base for this Bark Speeder. We got this first Bark Speeder, 1 trooper in the gunner spot, and then the heavy weapons clone trooper driving it. Really cool figure. I really recommend these sets. I know they weren't really all that hyped up when they were released, but to me, these are really cool. They just take up a lot of space. And then we have the second Bark Speeder with Commander Oppo. Another cool figure. I just really love having clones. There's some I actually still need to pick up, but yes, nevertheless, a very cool set here. I also put some of the extra accessories like the backpack onto that back left side of the Bark Speeder that you see. And then we have Anakin Skywalker with the staff. I still love this Clone Wars Anakin Skywalker figure, even though the new one was announced from the Ahsoka flashback. I think this one has a place in the collection still. And then we got Captain Rex. I love this head sculpt. Again, I go back and forth between whether or not I want the helmet on, but I posed up his helmet here on the edge of the Bark Speeder while he holds his blaster pistols. Love this set. Cannot wait to get the AT-RT in here. I forgot to film this part, but here is the damaged battle droid from the Obi-Wan Kenobi Deluxe set that I put in here on the rock base from Commander Oppo. Just a cool little addition to the case. So done with Star Wars now, and moving on to this case, which is Marvel. This case I also need to organize. I'm not exactly sure what I want to do display wise. You can see it's just not organized the way I want to, but nevertheless, here starting off, we have the Iron Man Mark III 2.0, probably the best Iron Man in my collection. This figure is amazing. The only thing is I wish the base had more space for the figure to actually stand on. Nevertheless, got him in this dope pose, and I'm really happy with that figure. Highly recommend it. This is definitely one of the favorite Marvel figures in my collection here. Stealth Suit Captain America from Endgame. I put him on the Iron Man D100 base, put the Thanos gauntlet on the side and his helmet that actually is from the Endgame cap. Love that setup so much. And then I got this figure on a really good deal. I was going to wait, but got a deal I couldn't pass up. The new Black Panther that recently came out, the original suit. Love that figure as well. And then here is the Avengers Hulk. I prefer this version with the ripped pants over the Age of Ultron Hulk. A menacing figure and definitely has a presence in the collection. Takes up a lot of space. And then here is the Iron Man Mark V in kind of a suit up type pose here with all of his pieces of his armors popping out. A cool figure. And then Endgame Captain America, a figure that I also got, just a really, really good deal that I could not pass up. And one that I needed to add into the collection anyways, seeing that he's my favorite Avenger. And then here is the Iron Man Mark 85. I go back and forth whether or not I want to keep this clean version or get the battle damage. I'm still unsure. And then here is Infinity War Thor, which is actually the version that I prefer. Really like this head sculpt. I did upgrade his Stormbreaker to the Endgame version of the Stormbreaker. And then here is War Machine Mark IV from Infinity War. This figure is great. Unfortunately, he has weaker ankles, so I had to use a crotch grabber, but got him all armored and weaponized. He looks very cool as well. So here's this case. Like I said, it needs a little bit of work. And now moving on to an awesome case, we have the Jazz Inc. 2022 Batmobile from the Batman, along with the Batman figure and the Bat Signal and the Bat Cycle. So a lot of Bat stuff going on. And then we have this 6 feet lane Riddler. Really like this figure. I wish Hot Toys would have done one, but nevertheless, this is a really cool representation of the Riddler. I just need to figure out what pose I want to put him in. And then we have the Jazz Inc. Batmobile, which I am going to do a review on it at some point. I know I've been slacking on that one. It will happen at some point, but this thing is crazy. I'm really happy to have it in the collection. It is awesome. And then we have the Batman, one of, again, my favorite figures. A very cool figure, comes with a ton of accessories. I'm also going to be getting the in-art one because I absolutely love the movie. And then we have the Bat Cycle kind of tucked away back here just because I don't have the space right now. But hopefully once I get expansion of my display area, I'll be able to display this stuff a little bit better, maybe across 2 cases. But for now, this is going to have to do, along with this Bat Signal here as well from the set. But definitely love that case. It's a little crammed right now, like I said, but that will hopefully change at some point in the future. So this next case is kind of a mix of Marvel and DC. It needs some work, but I just don't have the room to display all of these right now. But nevertheless, here are the figures. We have Peacemaker, obviously played by John Cena. This one surprised me. I got this one at a great deal around Christmas time. Really happy to have it. It is an awesome figure, and I really enjoyed the show. And there's Eagly, who's included as well. And then we have the Warner Brothers 100 Wonder Woman. A phenomenal figure, and the rooted hair on this one gets me excited for the artisan because I think it's well done. And this is the definitive Wonder Woman to have, in my opinion, in my collection. It is an amazing figure. And moving on, we have Black Adam, who is played by The Rock. Wasn't going to get this figure, but like I said, I'm a wrestling fan, and having The Rock represented in the collection is pretty cool. And this head sculpt is incredible. Some people think that this is the front runner for figure of the year. I personally do not. Nevertheless, it is an awesome figure, and I am happy to have it in the collection. And here we have the exclusive comic Spider-Man. This figure has caused me a lot of problems. I had a lot of damaged bodies initially. I had to get replacements, but this one is finally okay. And it's a pretty cool figure. I just haven't really gotten around to posing him yet. And I'm not sure if I want to keep this base on the figure either. And then we have the upgraded suit, Green Goblin from Spider-Man No Way Home. Another amazing head sculpt here. And again, I just haven't had time to really pose this one and mess with it. But nevertheless, it is an awesome figure. And then we have the in-art 2-pack Joker. This set is awesome. I love the rooted hair. I know some people don't really care too much about rooted hair. I still want to mess with the pose. I don't know if I want to do this grenade pose anymore. I want to switch it up. I've had it in this one for a while. And then we have the other figure here on the jail cell. This jail cell piece is awesome. It's actually made of metal and wood, so it's pretty heavy. And I might switch the pose up for this one as well. It still looks cool the way it is. I've just had it this way for a while, but two awesome figures that I highly recommend. And there you have it for this case. Like I said, the last few cases need some work on how they need to be organized, but I'm essentially out of room right now, so I need to make do with what I have until I get more cases eventually. And here is the prototype Moduspace mono case here that has some figures in it. I do have these two figures from Spider-Man 2 on PlayStation 5, the exclusive Miles Morales with his upgraded suit, and then the Peter Parker Advanced Suit 2.0. I love these figures. This is Advanced Suit 2.0 is my favorite Spider-Man suit. It is awesome and really happy to have those figures. Can't wait for Venom. And then here is the Iron Man D100. No base because I put it, like I said, underneath that stealth suit Captain America. And this figure is awesome. I got him weaponized. Love this cherry red look with the silver. And then we have Carnage, which was my figure of the year for 2023. An awesome figure that I really want to get displayed in a larger case with all of his tendrils connected. That is something I'm going to do in the future. And then we have the Venom bust as well. And lastly is Moon Knight. This figure is also incredible and one I wasn't going to pick up, but again, another one I got for a great deal, and I'm really happy to have it in the collection. An underrated figure in my mind. So there you have it for all of the figures. Next, I just wanted to talk a little bit about what I plan on doing for my display. So I don't love how this corner is here with the riser and the Moduspace mono case in between. I left that corner open so I could access all of the power cables. But what I would like to do is connect the cases on both sides at that corner just so it's a little bit of a cleaner look. So I'm going to be doing that in the near future and moving some stuff around. And I'm going to take the mono and use one mono as an end cap for the display area. And then when I get my second one that I have on order, I'm going to put that on the other side. So basically a mono on the left of the cases and the right side of the cases, and going to have these two connected together at the corner just for a more nicer, seamless look. So again, I'm just showing various views of the collection here. This also is going to change when I get eventually my new Moduspace cases. I'm going to have a 6th 110 case on top of here, and I'm going to move this Mandalorian stuff off of these two DF120s here. So I don't know where I'm going to put those yet, but I am going to move it and put a, like I said, a 6th 110 case from Moduspace on there, just because that ductwork that you can see behind is currently in the way for a DF120, so I need to go with something smaller. So there you have it. Those are all of the figures that I currently have, minus just a couple that I still have boxed up that I didn't include. If you've been following my channel and you've seen my prior collection tours, this surprised me when I looked back at my most recent one in September and just my collection evolving into what it is today. There's been a lot of change. Initially, I wanted to focus on just Star Wars stuff, but I like a lot of other stuff too. Star Wars is always going to be the main IP, but I am really happy that I branched out and got some of these other figures from different movies and TV shows. I'm really happy that I did, and I'm going to continue to do so. But as you can see with my collection tour, the majority of my stuff is still Star Wars, and it's likely going to stay like that. I don't really see that changing. Like I mentioned earlier, there is stuff that I want to work on to make my display better. It's just something that I'm going to need more time and more space for, so it will continue to evolve over time and improve. But like I said, I wanted to give you a realistic look into my collection as it is right now. I will do another updated tour in the future once I've made some worthy upgrades. If you're not familiar, the brand for my cases is Moduspace. You can check them out. The link is in the description below. You can also, if you want to order cases, use the code SNEAKER in all caps. That will get you $20 off of your order. And then if you like to buy figures on 1/6 kit, I do have a one-time use code. It is the same as the Moduspace one, SNEAKER in all caps. That will get you $10 off of your order. And then last but not least, I want to give a huge shout out to Underground Figures, which is where I get the majority of my figures from. You can check them out by going to undergroundfigures.net. If you make an account on their website, you are eligible for No NRD pre-orders. They have great prices and double box all shipments free of charge. And again, just check out the description below for all of the details. And then I just want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all of you watching and everyone who has consumed any bit of content from me. Thank you all so much. It has been an awesome ride. Cannot wait to see what the future holds. Shout out to everyone in the Evil Empire. The community surrounding my channel is absolutely amazing. I appreciate each and every one of you. Again, thank you all so much. And until next time, collect carefully.